Hey y'all, welcome back to the Don't Mom Alone podcast. I'm your host, Heather McFadden, and this is the place where I get to walk alongside you and connect you with people and resources so you know that you don't mom alone. And in this episode number 539, I am welcoming to the show Kristen Miele.
I want people to see that the church answers these questions. We're present, we're here, we care, we love you, we see you. Christ sees you, and he doesn't disown you because of X, Y, and Z. I want people to know that so intimately, in their souls. And so because of that, I think the church needs to confront all of these topics. And that's why my curriculum confronts such a wide variety of topics, because there is an option to talk about sexual integrity and the way that we talk about this stuff, but very holistically, in that it's well-rounded.
Well, if you couldn't tell from the title or maybe even that teaser clip, let me just offer that this may be an episode you want to listen to with your earbuds in so that you don't have a surprise conversation with your kiddos today. And I'm so sorry if the title popped up on your screen in your car and you're driving and you're now getting to have a fun surprise conversation. But let me introduce you to our special guest today. Her name is Kristen. She's the mom of two girls. She has a bachelor's and master's of science in community health, and she became a certified health education specialist in 2016. She has taught sex ed in so many different settings all over the world. They lived overseas and then returned to the States in 2021. And God gave her the vision to create this digital library curriculum. And I'm telling y'all, you're going to want to click the link in the show notes. Over 35 hours of content, and listen into the show because we have a special code for our listeners to get 15% off that curriculum. It covers a variety of ages and stages and topics. And you'll hear more about that in this episode. Let's get right to it. Here we go. Kristen, welcome to the Don't Mom Alone podcast.
Heather, I'm pumped to be here. Thank you for having me today.
It's a long time coming, I'll tell you. For years, I did a lot of episodes with friends I have here in Dallas who have a ministry to help parents start conversations with their kids on the topic of their bodies and sex, and there's a lot of great episodes on that. But I get feedback from people that are like, I still don't feel equipped, and I don't feel like I have a good resource to educate my kids when it comes to sex, their bodies, care, normal puberty, all the things, all the topics that come up with teen years. And so when you reached out, I was like, perfecto, this is amazing. You have an incredible curriculum from age 3 up to 18 plus. The parents probably get educated in the meantime. Anywho, I would love for you to start with, how did you even get into this? Who is choosing to be a sex ed teacher?
Right.
This is hard, Kristen.
I agree. Thank you. I know. But I love it. The Lord, I think, chose it for me a bit and allowed me to say yes or no. And I thankfully said yes, even though I was incredibly scared. That was back in 2010. I had finished college and was doing graduate school at my same university, studying public health, getting my master's, and the university assigned me to teach human sexuality, which is a class popular in university settings. But I was terrified because I did grow up in a Christian family. And so and you'll understand this statement, I never talked about that topic. I certainly couldn't teach about it.
It was like a one-time, maybe brought up awkwardly in a car ride. I remember over a hamburger once learning about a period from my dad. Yeah.
That kind of ruins hamburgers.
Not well done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't even have that. So I was very terrified. And my first semester teaching, my students reflected my own feelings because they reviewed me and their reviews were not great. But I took the job because I truly did feel I had been praying for a job, and I came to the conclusion that the Lord had provided this. By the second semester, however, I taught like I was on the best kind of fire, because what had happened in between those semesters was I was praying out of fear and anxiety. I don't want to do this. Why am I talking about sex with students? This is weird. Christians aren't supposed to do this. Sex is bad. And it was almost like God was there and was like, where'd you learn that? No, sex is mine. I created it. Sex is good. This is mine. And I kind of went back to the beginning. I went back to Genesis. I started reading the Bible more actually. And that really changed my perspective on the whole topic. And even after that, I taught for years. My reviews were sky high because I had a total change in how I was presenting and what I was able to talk about and weave into this secular teaching. I was able to weave truth in. But then I kept trying to leave sexual health. Like I went to a health department and tried to leave. And I went on the overseas mission field actually and tried to kind of walk away. Like, surely I won't be doing that here. Surely I won't be doing that here. And I just kept being like, wait, you can talk about this? We don't know anything about. Can you talk to our kids? Can you talk to me? Can you teach? Like, are you comfortable? Do this because nobody does this, and or very few. And so I've always been drawn back into it. And even when I left the mission field several years ago, unexpectedly, I didn't think sex ed was going to be in my job description anymore. And once again, I was praying, I was grieving the mission field. We left very unexpectedly. I was angry. And God just so plainly, it was like clear, like as clear as when I look up at the sky. It was just, you're going to start Sex Ed Reclaimed and you're going to film your lessons and people are going to have access to them. And I just kind of was like, yeah, I am. I don't know what that is, but yeah, like it was so peaceful and it was so lovely. And I thought in my head at the time I was going to film 3 of my lessons, my most popular lessons, but it's now become over 125 lessons for kids.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it's God. It's just God.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, people who listen to the show know I talk a lot about occupying your God-given space, and it just sounds like, you had the experience in the gifts of teaching, and he just keeps kind of shifting that assignment, but still, using you in that specific space. And I love it. I love it so much. And it's awkward, right? Right. Like it's awkward. We all feel awkward about it, but I love that you've gotten to the point that you see it as so valuable. It's worth it to push past the awkward.
Yeah.
And I know in the episodes we've done before, we're like, there are messages everywhere about sex your kids are getting. You kind of want your voice to be the loudest and you want to be the expert, or you want someone like Kristen to come alongside you and provide better messaging when it comes to their bodies and about boundaries and all of the things. And so to be able to partner with you if they feel very ill-equipped, like you and I both shared, we didn't get great education. Schools are not offering it. So what differentiates what you're doing from what the schools are offering, or like if parents have their kids in private schools, or I know you have a homeschool curriculum, like what is unique and how do you weave faith into it?
100%. I started off filming those 3 videos thinking I was going to make them for anyone, so like faith optional almost, and I felt very convicted of that. And for me personally, like I just couldn't, like God gave me the actual vision with the actual name and I'm just not going to talk about him. Like he's the creator of it. He's the one who made it good. He's the one who has blessed us with our bodies and sexuality and the possibility of marriage and covenant and sex itself. Like baby making, like the whole thing. Why am I taking him out? So it just didn't make any sense at all to me to take him out and to make it optional. I will say I have non-Christians use the curriculum and I think they just have their own messages at home after I, am speaking to them from a screen. But it is all woven throughout all of my lessons, really, because I can't not talk about God. If I'm talking about sex, how do you miss the creator of it? You can't if you know him. You just can't do it. So
Mhm.
I love talking about Jesus and how Jesus confronted sexual sin and how Jesus walked amongst us in a very physical body and how God has blessed us with these gifts, but he has created this wonderful context. I love confronting what's going on in culture with the truth. Like I am just really passionate about the truth. And the truth in this context might mean that you simply answer correctly when someone like your child asks you what sex is. That might be the truth rather than talking about like some weird metaphor or something. Or
Some stork or
yeah, right,
something.
right. Or the truth can also mean that you actually talk about the gospel, right? And so I love both of those things. And I'm all about actually telling the truth to your kids, but in a way that's age appropriate and adheres to my biblical values, adheres to biblical values. And so, how do you actually do that is what I provide, right? That's what I provide for parents who are like, yeah, but what's the practical? I'm all about practicality of answering these questions kids have and confronting the real things going on in our world, because I think that's what Jesus does.
I'm thankful I can connect you with this great resource thanks to sponsors like OutSchool. Now, what is OutSchool? We've been talking about her digital curriculum. Well, did you know that you can use a global learning platform to either augment or fill in or support your child's learning? Well, OutSchool offers live online classes and one-to-one tutoring, and you can adapt it to your child's unique interests and needs and goals. There's a flexible monthly membership, and you get access to fantastic teachers, 5 stars, hundreds of kindergarten through 12th grade topics. Since 2015, over 1 million families have trusted OutSchool to deliver high-quality education through these vetted expert teachers. Whether you're homeschooling your kids, you're in public school, you're using state education funds, or you're just supporting your kids' unique learning needs, OutSchool meets every family where they are. You can even go on OutSchool and check all the different courses and options that they have, whether you're wanting your child to learn a new language, a new instrument, they have a specific interest in science, or they need support in math. That's what we used one-on-one tutoring for math through OutSchool. I think it is a great idea. It's not just a new version of the system. It's a completely different way to learn. It's built around your child, not someone else's framework. They even have a concierge service so they can help you pick the classes that work for your needs. And they have a lot of fun options, social options if your child is needing that. You can prepare your kids for the future. And if you want to try OutSchool, you can get your family's first month for only $1 for a limited time when you use the link outschool.com/DMA. OutSchool has been a game changer for so many families. This new membership exclusive discount is only available when you go through our link and use the code DMA. So go to outschool.com/DMA. When you mentioned age appropriate and you said you had all those videos, I went through, like, you have the different age groups, and I'll just list them real quick for people that are like, but is my kid old enough? They always think, is my kid old enough to be talking about this? Okay. You have a whole section of curriculum for 3 to 6-year-olds, and everyone's jaws dropping that has no concept that we should start that young or that there's curiosity that young about sexual things. 7 to 10-year-olds, 11 to 13-year-olds. And I love that there's even topics that only 13-year-olds maybe need to cover.
Yeah.
Because I totally agree. Like an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old are very different. Even a 13 and a 14-year-old.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So 14 to 18 is the other section. And so many great topics related to even just like, if we want to protect our kids from physical or sexual abuse, we need to have labeling of body parts, right?
Yes.
So talk to us about what would be in the 3 to 6-year-old curriculum for parents who are in shock right now.
Sure. As you just hinted at or said, we have to name the parts of our body because that's where shame begins if you don't name them. And so actually calling body parts what they are, and like you said, this can actually call abuse what it is for kids and prevent issues, even more intense sexual abuse, because kids have ownership of their body and know what they're called and know how to even see what's safe and what's not safe. So I have very clear videos on your body parts, but also on, should other people see your body parts? Should other people take pictures of your body parts? Should people show you pictures? What do you do when you're 4 and somebody's trying to show you a picture and tells you that they want to take a picture of you naked? And I speak in a way that's very kid friendly. I mean, I have little kids myself, right? So I speak in a way that is for them. Those videos, the 3 to 6-year-old videos, are short, they are clear, they are kind, and loving, but they are truthful. They hit on basically safety. I talk about why boundaries are good and why they're important and how they keep us safe and how to basically affirm those boundaries in their little lives. I talk about why you don't walk in a room that has a door closed, why you don't change in front of your friends, why you knock, before you enter. Basic concepts that actually do have to do with sexual health and safety and responsibility, things that have to basically do with God's design for sex and how good it is. I also affirm how good their bodies are. I have one topic I actually love that you might not think of when it comes to sex ed, which is, are my feelings the truth? And so
Mm.
differentiating for littles, and this is also in my 7 to 10-year-old curriculum, differentiating just because I feel this way doesn't actually mean that's true, right? Oh, I'm starving. I'm starving. I'm so hungry. Everybody says that at some point. But are you actually? No, you're not. It just means you're really hungry. Oh, I'm having the worst day ever. It's the end of the world. I hate everything. Okay, that's how you feel, right? That is how you feel. But does that mean that that's true? And so this really gets at identity. Do we, just
Mm.
because we feel a certain way one season or 1 week or 1 month of our life, does that mean that that's true? There's a difference between recognizing our feelings and saying or declaring that they are the truth. And so I'm basically at the building block stage for a foundational understanding of good design, of God's love for
Mm.
us in that, and of safety and responsibility as well.
And for the parent who's like, "Oh, I'm a little nervous. What are you gonna say to my kids?" Can they watch the videos as, like, a precursor before they even buy the curriculum?
So I do have free samples on the website, Sex Ed Reclaimed, and they can see little glimpses. But any parent at any time, I don't mind this at all, can email me and say, "Hey, I'm interested in this age curriculum, but I want to know what you say about this. I saw that you're teaching this on your website. It said that. What do you say?" I'll just send them the video, actually. I'm happy to do that.
Wow.
There's so many videos in my curriculum. I don't mind like encouraging them and showing them that. I've never once, by the way, had a parent come back and say, "Oh, no, I don't want the curriculum." I've almost always had them say, "Yes, this is great." And even if there's like a sentence or something they disagree with, right? Because I'm a human, that's the point, is then you get to have this conversation with your kids right after the video. And every single video shown with Sex Ed Reclaimed has multiple points where you're supposed to pause and engage on these questions with kids, right? So, like, what would you do if somebody tried to show you a picture that was bad? It had pictures that were disrespectful to people. Maybe they even have pictures of somebody who's naked. What would you do? And now your kid responds to that. And maybe that kind of freaks you out, but actually, what it should do is empower and encourage you, because that very well could happen. But now your kid is safe and preventive of that behavior, whereas a kid who has never once even thought to talk about it because they're 5 and their parents don't want to confront it because they're 5, that kid is at risk, right? And so we want to actually be
Mm.
that first voice, like you said, even on topics as sad as abuse and as porn exposure. We want to be that first voice. And this really does just build you up to do that, because you get to have all those conversations with your kids right after you watch the videos. Or, you can watch them on your own first after you purchase and see from there.
What do you say to someone who is skeptical of sexual education at all? Like,
Mm.
does it even work? Does it even matter? I mean, I know we talked about the elements related to protection when it comes to abuse, but what if they're worried? I've heard this before from people. They're like, "Oh, you're getting them interested and stirring up their interest too early." You know what I mean? Have you heard that before?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This was actually
Okay.
my concern when I began to teach it in grad school. And of course, I'm teaching college students. So I know most of them at a secular university. So I know most of them are already doing it. But this was my concern too. Doesn't talking about it encourage them to do it? Is the age old, especially Christian or conservative question. And the reality is, no, it does not. I have
Mm.
looked at data again and again just to make sure, because I wanted to assuage my own fears.
You're
And
like, "I don't wanna be
yeah,
part of"
I
yes,
don't want
I
to be
like a
part of
sexual
something
revolution. Yeah.
nefarious, like bad for kids. Why would I do that? No, thank you. So I wanted to look at the data myself. Does this actually encourage kids to go out and try it, to go out and do it? No, it does not. Now, could it for some kid out there, like you start talking about drinking and now they want to try alcohol? It could, maybe to the kid who already has a high interest or is at risk for other reasons. But that doesn't mean that it was bad for you to bring it up. The vast majority of
Mm.
people do not go out and try something that was talked about. They actually have an interest in what you have to say because you started the conversation about it. So now they know that you're the one to go to about this topic. And let's be honest, talking about sex is a necessity. We have to talk about it because if you can just imagine for a moment a childhood, like your own childhood as an adult now, we're talking about your body and dating and even porn. It wasn't shameful, but it was actually edifying and helpful to you. That's a real possibility for kids. I just had a mom of a 8-year-old, or I'm sorry, he was 9. She messaged me and she said that they had watched Curriculum. And one of the acronyms I use in regards to porn is called STOP. So if somebody shows you something, you shut your eyes, you tell an adult, you open your mind to something new, and you play something else. This is what I use with little kids to avoid porn exposure. Of course, I made that up. Like, you wouldn't know it unless you watch the curriculum. She messaged me and said her child was playing with a friend. The friend YouTubed the phrase naked women. The child immediately knew to shut his eyes. He was able to shut the computer down, right? Without looking, like just close it. He told his mom about it later and they went and he said, can we go play a game instead? I don't want to look at that. And the kid said, okay. She was like, you
Mm.
saved my child basically from use of this curriculum, from seeing porn at such a young age, potentially developing a porn addiction, right? We know where that goes. We know where years of porn exposure go for somebody, and it's nowhere good. And why? Because she avoided the topic and didn't talk about it? Because she was afraid it would interest her kid in it? No, because it needs to be talked about because this is the reality in which we're living in. And I'm big on like, what's our reality, right? Like, what is the world actually doing around us? And I do think sex ed has helped me to be that way because I want to actually know what's going on in the world. So teaching children about sexual health, it doesn't set them back emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. In fact, it does the opposite. Research shows that populations of students without education, any education, they suffer, right? That's probably obvious, but that applies to sex ed too. And that's really helpful to know and to begin with.
There's been a lot of buzz around like the damage of purity culture. And I think you and I were kind of raised up in that.
Yeah.
Just the like, it's bad. It's only for marriage. But then all the women who struggled within marriage. And then I feel like we've swung a little bit the other way.
Mm.
And I think even this, like you said, the word secular culture, like they're realizing we need a better sexual ethic
Mm.
for health. So they're taking the health route where it's less about the moral side or, God's original design. They're taking a like the fewer partners you have, the more healthy you will be long term view. How do we help our kids? Like, if we've communicated as a family that this is a beautiful thing God designed to be enjoyed within the boundaries of marriage, and yet here they are, hot and steamy teenagers. Like that, I feel like goes out the window a little bit. And then you can have the guilt and the shame. Do you talk about any of that kind of sexual integrity in these videos or
Oh,
how to talk about that with our kids?
absolutely. Yes. So, like I
Okay.
said, there's a ton of videos. And you can see this on my website too. There's just a lot of options of what to watch. And in reality, like all of them have the same messaging because they're coming from the same place, the same heart, the same truth. And so that is woven throughout all of it. But the big difference, I think, when you think about purity culture was very legalistic. It was very do this and you'll get this, or don't do this and this will happen to you. And that's not actually how the world works. It's not
Or
even
even
true.
like there was not like a middle ground. It was like you're either in or out. And once you're out forever.
Absolutely. It was black and
And then
white.
it's like, why even be part of the church? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the real crux of it that bothers me is not only did it hurt people unintentionally, I'm sure, but it actually encouraged people to leave the church because they weren't getting answers from the church. They were getting a list of rules, which by the way isn't the gospel. And so they walked away. And I want people to
Mm.
see that the church answers these questions. We're present, we're here, we care, we love you, we see you. Christ sees you and he he doesn't disown you because of X, Y, and Z. I want people to know that so intimately, like in their souls. And so because of that, I think the church needs to confront all of these topics. And that's why my curriculum confronts such a wide variety of topics, because there is an option to talk about sexual integrity and the way that we talk about this stuff, but like very holistically, in that it's well rounded, and that it provides the opportunity to also discuss, well, what happens if we do this other thing or engage in this other thing? Like, what does God say about that? And so the short answer is yes, of course, I do talk about that. But the longer answer is that it's a full conversation. And that's the great thing. It's not just a talk, right? It's not just one time, end all be all. You have all of these little hundreds or thousands of opportunities to talk about sex with your kid, which is far more developmentally appropriate than it is to have a one off purity weekend or a talk with your kid filled with metaphors.
You said there's a message that's woven throughout all the videos. What is that message?
The message is that God made us, that he made us well, that we are created to glorify him, and that he walked amongst us. He sees our sin and he loves us anyway. He knows us and still loves us. That's the message ultimately woven throughout. Simplified.
Love it. I mean, I've had people ask me after I've had the gal that wrote Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, she came on the show and they were like, well, what do I do if my child has seen porn? Like all those,
Sure.
Okay, we do all this work to prevent and like you said, and to give them the tools, but then they do. And I feel like there's a lacking, but you even have a video about that,
Yep.
which is helpful.
Yeah. So her name's also Kristen. And
yes,
I didn't know if she had trademarked the bad pictures. So I was like, can I use that phrase or am I going to be sued? So she was like, no, you can use it. So that is a great wording or verbiage for little kids around pictures of people who are naked. I love that. So I have also utilized that phrasing in my curriculum too. But it's really good. It's really good. That book is really effective. It does a great job at presenting the conversation. But I will say, I think it, and she would agree with this, I'm sure, it needs to be more full, like bigger, and go over the course of their lives. And that's part of why I do what I do.
Yeah. And like you're saying, that redemptive message, not this like, don't do this. Oh, shoot, I did.
Right. Now
or,
what?
oh, shoot, it did happen. And I feel like what I noticed in your videos is there's more conversation about what if that does happen? And like,
Yeah.
Are we out? I'm just thankful that you have that included. Raising kids brings out our weaknesses. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you're not the mom you imagine you'd be? Well, in the book, You're Still a Good Mom, Hallie Dye dismantles our faulty expectations of motherhood and replaces them with an understanding of who you are in Christ and who he calls you to be. This book is for the mom who feels depleted, limited, mothering out of her own strength, and is ready to surrender her motherhood to the one who never fails her. Are you ready to stop striving and start abiding in the Lord? When you lean into him, he makes everything, including you, good. It's time to embrace peace, not pressure. You're Still a Good Mom by Hallie Dye is available at moodypublishers.com or everywhere where you get good books. And if you go to the link in our show notes, you will find a link to a free sample chapter of You're Still a Good Mom. This fall, Voteberg Music Academy is running its biggest music competition ever and is giving away thousands of dollars in prize money. Categories will include piano, fiddle, guitar, ukulele, and mandolin with 2 age groups for each instrument. This is for any musician, anywhere, beginner or advanced, young or old, Voteberg Music Academy student or not. Contestants will be required to submit videos of themselves playing 2 songs of their choice, 1 upbeat and 1 slow. Judges will be scoring based on difficulty, rhythm, tone, intonation, and overall musicality. Prize money will be awarded to the top 5 finishers in each division. This is a great opportunity for instrumentalists to level up on their technical proficiency. In the weeks leading up to the competition, all of the live coaching calls on VMA will be geared towards fine-tuning students playing in preparation for the competition. Whether you or your child are beginners or seasoned musicians, this competition is for you. Go to votebergmusicacademy.com to learn more and sign up. And how you spell Voteberg is VOETBERG, musicacademy.com. And if you are ready to get started with either piano, guitar, fiddle, or ukulele lessons at Voteberg Music Academy, then use my code, all caps, don't mom alone, at checkout and get 20% off each month you're enrolled. Weekly lessons, live coaching calls, monthly performance opportunities, 24/7 messaging with your instructor, access to the VMA community, badges mailed to your home, and so much more is included with your membership that costs less than one in-person lesson. So go to votebergmusicacademy.com and get started today. You do cover like some harder topics that I'm sure, and I love that you said you'd send a parent any video that they had a question on, like, what do you say on this topic? Because you do cover for 13-year-olds, should I transition? What do I do if I think I'm gay? And topics that I'm guessing, because I've have enough people I know, parents have different views on this and how they would communicate to their kids, and maybe are nervous that if they present something, it could cause mental health harm. And so you even cover abortion and all the things. So I don't know what I was going to say about that, because I feel like you answered it. Like, if a parent looks and sees the list and they're nervous, they can reach out to you and say, what do you say in this video?
Right. And I want,
see if it aligns.
yeah, exactly. I want them to know too that these videos weren't created on an island or alone. I did this with others. So, for example, the video on abortion that you mentioned, I sent all my abortion videos to one of the biggest pregnancy clinics I know, who has a very grace-based approach, but is still biblically aligned. And their CEO watched it and said that it was one of the best videos she's ever seen on abortion for kids, because it's so realistic. And that was really, I don't say that as like a pride point. It was just really encouraging to me, because I think the Lord directed that script, as he has all of my scripts. Every topic you see on my website where you're like, whoa, she talks about that, or how does she talk about that? It is the Holy Spirit that has led me. And I say that with such humble conviction and gratitude. It is the Holy Spirit that has led me to each of those scripts. I don't have some bizarre interest in talking to kids about, what does it mean when people transition? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? The Holy Spirit cares about that, and he wants to speak into that. And there's a way to speak into that without affirming things that aren't biblical, but still love them. And that is the person of Jesus. And so I'm very passionate about sex ed, but I'm more passionate about who God is, and how those things actually connect and align. And like, which goes back to one of your first questions, like, is it faith-based? Yes, because these two marry so beautifully. They're so natural, actually. So, my abortion video, within that, for example, I never say abortion's murder. You're killing a baby.
Right.
Kids kind of already know that. That's already a dominant message in culture and politics and news. What they do need to hear is, why does this happen? Why do Christians, 50% of people who get abortions, say that they're Christians? Now, we don't have to unpack what that actually means for their walk, right? Or if they're actually believers or not, but they say that they are. So that means they've been in maybe church community at some point. They know other Christians. Maybe they actually are following Jesus. Like, why are
I
they
mean,
at that
people
point?
watching your videos.
Yeah.
People watching the mom watching the video with her kid may have had that be a part of her story.
100%. And so, and people aren't also Christians their whole lives. Like, people come from different backgrounds and become Christians at later points, and et cetera. So I really just want to honor that and recognize that, and talk to kids about, why does this happen? How did we get here, kind of thing? And how do we prevent this? And how do we love people who are kind of making that decision? Like, what do we do about that? What is a very practical way we can love them? What do I believe about that? What does my family believe? Do we talk about this? Like, again, this wasn't something my family talked about growing up. I just knew abortion was wrong. End of story. Killing a baby, right? I had no gray area of that, of why it's actually occurring so regularly in the very country I live in. And so this is much more, holistic or full in the conversation around that.
Okay, so a parent is like, great, Kristen, you talk to them.
I do.
And they're still nervous to be a part of that conversation. What is your number one tip to maybe even finally enjoy a comfortable conversation with your kid about sexual health? Like, is that possible? And can you help us out?
Okay, it's totally possible. It might take a beat, but it is possible. So I will say, to be honest, my tip changes a little bit based on how I feel the Holy Spirit is leading me in this regard, right? Because there's not just one tip to enjoy conversations, truly. But the thing that comes to mind pretty often when I'm asked something like this is that the way you enjoy it is you start with you. And maybe that sounds a little bit selfish or something. As you know, us moms, as in particular, we always are like sacrificing for our kids, like them first, them first, them first, which is good. But you have to consider where you're coming from. If you don't use body part names or never have, if you've never talked to your kid about these topics, if you're really afraid to talk about porn, if you can't imagine bringing up sexual abuse with kids, if you are just scared, basically, well, why? Like, why? What has happened? What has gone on? Have you ever talked to any about it? Do you have a spouse who you can really engage on this topic with, who knows, your past? Have you ever prayed about it? Have you ever prayed about talking to your kids about sex with any sort of regularity? So I would say my biggest tip is to start with you because you need to sit before the Lord in quiet stillness and have him dig up the things. And that might be hard. Maybe he brings up, hey, honey, like actually, I've never actually felt like the Lord has called me honey, by the way. I don't know why I said that, but like, my beloved,
It seems dear.
yeah,
Yes, it's dear. Yes,
like
yes.
my child, I know that you are reading pornographic novels and you do too. Or I know you're watching that Netflix show that like has a ton of porn and you don't even bother fast forwarding, right? Like that's a problem actually for my walk with you. Maybe he
Mm.
convicts you of something that you're like, man, this isn't what I just want to talk to my kids about stuff, right? But you have to start there and start with your sexual story, if you will, with the Lord, and then talk about that with your spouse, like a lot. To really start from a
Mm.
place of health and holiness and forgiven, like a forgiven place of redemption, and that will help you to then talk to your kids with joy because it's not that you have to be all cleaned up before you get to them. It just helps you to have a right mindset of like honoring the Lord, of excitement, of hope, of joy, of peace when you're starting with God because He creates those in us, right? He bears those fruits in us. And that is the same when it comes to sex ed. So start with you, start with prayer, journaling, really speaking to your spouse. I was married for 9 years, and then my husband revealed more to me about how he learned about sex, things I had no idea. But God was bringing them to his mind. Is like, you need to tell your wife about this. This is impacting your marriage even still. And so there's
Mm.
actually a lot of really good opportunity in doing this with your spouse too, because you can learn a lot about each
Mm.
other and what's informing your own marriage or sex life. And that's a great place to start and dig into. It creates a lot of intimacy.
Yeah, that's really good. We all have most likely some work to do in an area. And I just feel like anytime there's a lot of shame or, I don't know, isolation in a topic, it feels like the enemy has his grip on it. So it feels like the work you're doing is shining a light and pulling people out of isolation and pulling people out of shame, which to me feels more like Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
like bringing these things to the light, him not being ashamed and him not being uh, his feelings for you not changing. You're still loved, you're still valued, and so I think you're doing really important work. Before we have to go, is there anything you were like, I'm going to be on Heather's show, I really want to say this to the parents, or do you feel like you've gotten to say what you hope to say?
I think that whatever your listener is feeling right now is valid. We talked about feelings, but feelings aren't necessarily the truth. Whatever you're feeling is valid, but I would encourage you to dig into that, whether it's excitement
Mm.
and you're ready but don't know where to start, or whether it's fear, anxiety, nervousness, shame, even maybe you're scared because of something that has never been dug up before in your own life. Like, press into that. Don't just listen to the podcast and move on. Really press into that and consider that. Do wait expectantly with the Lord because He probably has something really good for you in that, and then do the thing. Like, go forward and talk to your kids with regularity. Use opportunities around you. You don't have to, of course, get my curriculum, but you have to talk to your kids about sex. Otherwise, the world assuredly will. You can use opportunities while you're driving with music, with shows, with politics, with news, within your family, with neighbors that you see out and about, like whatever it is, use those opportunities to share your worldview, but to also really engage with your kids. And it will also build intimacy in your relationship with your kids, which is beautiful.
I just thought of something. Okay, let's say a parent listening, they're like, yes, I do want this curriculum. I do want your support, Kristen. What would it look like to introduce these videos to their kids? Like, is there good phrasing or like, okay, kids, sit down. We're going to watch this thing on
Yeah.
sex. I mean, that
Yeah.
seems, we won't say
No.
that, but do you have any help or support on like guiding parents into that?
Sure. Well, I do have videos that are called Start Here and Welcome videos. And the calendar you get with the curriculum actually like schedules it out for you if you want to use that. So you can watch in the order I recommend. Again, you don't have to, but you can. However, I would start by starting. So yeah, you don't sit them down on and make it like a strict disciplinarian, almost awkward, weird thing, right? But watch your body language around this, watch your tone and say, hey, I did hear this podcast recently, or I was made aware of something recently, and it's actually really important. And that's the topic of sex and sexuality and puberty and dating. It depends on your kids' ages, right? How you introduce this. But say that you want them to know about it because maybe you didn't have that and you really wished that you had, or you regret not talking about it yet because it's so important and you want them to be safe. Whatever it is, like a positive messaging around why you want to do this, because there are positive reasons why you want to do this, and presenting that to them and just addressing kind of that elephant in the room as you start. Like, I want you to be safe. I want you to know more about what God says in the Bible. I want you to be careful as you start dating, whatever it is. Like, present that in a positive way. And even if it's a little bit awkward starting, just embrace that and keep going because there's a lot within the weight.
Do you have parents who've done this before recommend, like, I'm trying to picture, I have 4 boys. Like, if I get all 4 boys watching this, it is going to be a peanut gallery of commentary.
Okay.
Like, is it better one-on-one? What do you think?
I'm not prescriptive with that. I think every
Okay.
family's
I
different.
mean, of course, they're different
Yeah.
ages too,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
there's that.
Yeah, I would definitely separate the ages. I do have a lot of homeschool families, so some of them do it as part of their like school learning. Like they'll have this kid is doing health with their own device right now, and the health is my curriculum. Or some kids, their family does it every Friday or just during the summer, whatever. So it really depends on the family, their availability, when they can schedule these kids to do it. But some siblings do watch it together because they're so close and they do have fun and enjoy, even brothers and sisters, right? But it's really dependent on the family, what's appropriate for your kid. You know your kid best. If they're actually learning or if it's too distracting or a negative environment, right, then you have to change it. So it's really dependent. You could totally sit all your boys down with age appropriate curriculum and like see how it goes. I know families that definitely do
Oh my
that.
gosh.
You could give it a go, but you would,
I mean, and then I'll film it for you
yeah.
and you can have that be one
Oh,
of your
yeah,
videos
please
of
do.
them all watching
Please
the
do.
chaos
You,
of that. And then like, do the boy, like, I know you have videos on period
mhm.
and all that. Those are not just girl specific. Those are for the boys too. You cover it for everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I actually don't really believe in separating genders like in classrooms because I do have schools that use my curriculum too. But again, it's dependent on the population and what you're able to do. Only because, like, hello, guys need to know about periods and how the menstrual cycle works, and when can a woman get pregnant, and what are her hormones like. Guys definitely need to know that. I mean, how many married guys do you know who like no idea, like not the faintest? Well, that's not good.
And they do not know the anatomy. That's for
Mm,
sure. That is for sure. Well, this is super, super helpful, Kristen. I'm thrilled that I get to connect
yeah.
parents with your content. And I really appreciate all that you're doing. It really is shining a light of good in the world. And so keep shining, keep going.
Thank you, Heather. When I dropped off one of my kids at school today, the song they were playing at car line was, it had a line about be the light in the world because there's already so much like hate. And I mean, she does not go to a Christian school. She does go to a private school. But I was like, yes, like always, we're meant to be the light. And I'm
Yeah.
thrilled to be able to do that, even when I was hesitant in beginning this journey. And I'm thrilled that you're doing that as well. So thank you for having me, Heather.
Okay. We made it through. Are you all good? Let me tell you, if she didn't say it already, I can't remember if she said it, but I will just tell you now. The code to get 15% off of Kristen's amazing digital curriculum is don't Mom Alone, all caps. So it's Don't Mom Alone, all caps. You'll use it when you check out on her website. We put a link to the curriculum in the show notes. And I'm going to pray for us because I think this is a place where the enemy can do a lot of damage. And we have the tools to be ready and to equip our kids, empower them, and feel encouraged ourselves. So Lord, oh man, there's so many things that you have created to be good and right and beautiful. And the enemy comes in to just twist them and cause so much pain and heartache and division and discouragement and despair, and to draw people from your abundant, everlasting love. I pray for anyone who's been listening to this, who's carrying their own pain or shame or just overall embarrassment for choices they've made or made to them or their kids have made, that I pray, Lord, your love would shine a light on those places and they would feel complete freedom to move forward, knowing that they are completely surrounded by Christ if they professed faith in him, and that you see Christ's perfection, and that has all been dealt with on the cross. And Lord, I pray we wouldn't be held back any longer by any lies of less than or unworthy, because you have made us worthy because of Christ's sacrifice on the cross and his resurrection. You have taken any of those soul consequences. I know there are real consequences in this earth. And I pray, Lord, for anyone walking through the challenges there, that we as a church would be available. And Lord, I thank you that we have the opportunity to be your hands and feet and to show love and kindness to those who are in challenging situations because of choices made either to them or by them. And Lord, I just pray for parents to have discernment and wisdom, and that they could walk alongside and use this curriculum to equip their kids. They would feel more empowered and ready for this world and not shy away from it, but not become like it. In Jesus' name, amen. As I was praying, I was reminded I have already conducted the interview. It is with Amy Ford of Embrace Grace, and I'm so excited to get to share it with you. I think it comes out in like a month, and it's just a great opportunity to have a full pro-life view and support those women who are finding themselves in an unplanned pregnancy. And anyway, just really practical ways we can support them through that ministry. Okay, I will meet you back here next week. I have a great conversation with, I'm looking. Oh, we're going to talk about youth sports, y'all. What? So join me back here next week. All right, bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Don't Mom Alone podcast. If you're wanting to connect with more people and more resources to help remind you that you're not alone, head over to don'tmomalone.com. That's where you'll also find show notes with any links mentioned by our guests. Most importantly, I want you to know the good news, the great news that you're not alone because God has promised to always be with you. With faith in Jesus Christ, the one who died for you and rose again, Jesus said when he left, he was going to leave a helper, a comforter, to be with us. God in us. Moms, that's superpower. So while you're washing dishes at your kitchen sink, while you're driving to and from work, while you're feeding that baby late into the night, while you're cleaning sticky floors, God promises to be just as present with you as when you're worshiping in a church pew. As it says in Zephaniah 3:17, the Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He takes great delight in you. He will quiet you with his love, and he will rejoice over you with singing. Now that's good news. Have a great day.